Hi and welcome back to Boat Life Balance. I'm Captain Ned, your personal boating instructor and owner boat advocate. Let's talk about what's been forgotten. Now, recently I was on a boating instruction and I did a couple of, interesting and fun things in getting the boat along the wharf and using spring lines and reverse engine techniques to hold the boat against the wharf while the rest of the lines were put on, and then we did a forward running spring with boating gear to pin the boat to the wharf, all that sort of thing. So one of the owners of the boat, she said to me, "Ned, I don't see anyone doing this, and you must be one of only 5% of people who actually know this stuff." And I said, it's interesting you should say that because this isn't new stuff. It's what's been forgotten. So let's cast our mind back to a day when there wasn't IPS and there wasn't twin engines and there wasn't bow thrusters and stern thrusters and there wasn't all of this stuff. Let's cast our mind back to a day when boats had nothing but sail. How would they get in and out of port? They'd often have to be rowed in. Longboats would row them in and they'd have to row up a river. They'd have to set out the longboat and actually have the crew pull the vessel up the river. Or the sailors were so good they could actually, if the wind direction was right, they could sail the vessel up the river or into port. There are still those who actually don't have engines on their boats and they tack their way up their channel to get to their crane to lift their boat out of the water and put it on a cradle. So etchels, for example. So let's go to basic motorboats. And basic motorboats were a single engine, a single propeller and a single rudder. No bow thruster, no stern thruster, no IPS, no joystick. And what I've found now is the reliance on technology, which is awesome. I love it. It's great. It's all good until you lose one engine. A lot of the reliance on technology has this skill set. It's been lost. But also people don't know what they don't know. And what they do is they tend to go, my car driving experience tells me that I just drive up to the car park and I pull into the car space and I turn my engine off and get out of my car and I walk away. And I don't touch anything. I don't bump into the pole in the car in the car park. I don't press up against the car next to me and I don't press up against the wall next to me. I don't touch anything. And if I touch anything, even at the slightest speed, I'm going to put a dent in my car or scratch it. So people don't know what they don't know. Once again, you'll hear me say that a lot. And that's the thing. What I mean is this sort of stuff for me is just muscle memory that people now have driving their car in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s and 70s. It's all just muscle memory. So boating for me and getting in and out of the marina berth and that sort of thing is muscle memory. So let's look at what's been forgotten. Now, things like springline techniques, what's that, Ned? Like, how do I use one rope and one engine to get my boat alongside the wharf and pressed up? Now, if you go on the Sydney Ferry or you go down to, let's say, South Bank, where they've got the little pizza boats there, like, we call them pizza boats because they're just big flat boats in Melbourne that go up and down the river. They look like a bit like pizza boxes. So you'll see these techniques. You'll see these techniques where you'll see a young bloke on the front or a young lady on the front, and they will be standing holding a rope, and they'll throw the rope over the bollard, and then they'll tie it up, and it looks all very cool. Then the boat just sort of seems to go tight on that rope, and then it just sort of pulls into the wharf and then pins there, and then the decky will run down the back and tie a rope on the back and a midships line, and they're all tight, and then the skipper will just put it out again, and it's all done. So this is commercial process and commercial practice. Why aren't people using this in their marina berths? And this is what we teach, this is what I teach. And our most advanced courses, I'm not saying all this to get you to buy a course, right? You're going to do what you want to do with boating and you'll do a lot of research and you'll do a lot of, but look at these springline techniques and Google the heck out of them and go to YouTube, look, springline techniques, what's this all about? And, course to wind and all that sort of thing. And we're going to talk about that a bit. The techniques that are used are about getting the boat safely on the wharf, and the techniques that I focus on is about getting everyone to do this from on the boat. This whole thing of jumping off the boat and grabbing onto things and pulling. No one ever used to do that. That's not a thing that was ever done. You used to do everything from on board, and then it's sort of all this has been forgotten. So what I'm teaching is not new stuff. It's adapted and it's been molded to fit the different types of boats. Like I use a lot more spring lines in my training on certain vessels because it's not really safe to get up around the side of the cabins, because a lot of the cabins in the smaller boats have very, very narrow walkways either side of the cabin, and some, even the smaller ones, have nothing. It's just like hull, cabin, top, and there's no way of getting around the sides. So I've developed, retuned these techniques, these old school techniques in stern lines and things like that. So you'll see you'll see around the waters where I've been training, people using these techniques, and they just sort of come in very calmly. They'll throw a line on, and then the boat just sort of sits there, and then they throw 2 more lines on, and then they're in neutral, and they're like, it's all done. And it was all done at walking pace and conversational volume, which is so important. If you're docking your boat and you're getting anxious and your voice is getting louder and things are starting to become pacey, you need to go out and do it again and just stay calm. I digress, but one of the things that people sort of don't realize is if they've tried 3 or 4 times to get into their berth at the marina, what's happened is they've created a huge amount of turbulence in that berth space. And they're trying to get over what is a slippery surface, but they're trying to get over top of a washing machine kind of effect. And the boat's just twisting and turning. So if that's starting to happen, I say to people, if you're doing 2 or 3 tries and you can't get it, go out, go for a little bit of a cruise, go back out in clear water, go for a little bit of a cruise, let everything calm down, yourself and the water around your berth. Reassess the angle of the wind, reassess the drift, and go back in and do it all again. Have another briefing with your crew. Okay, that didn't feel so right. What could we do this time? Take advice from your crew, what they saw. Don't be too proud. There's no democracy on a ship. The rule of the captain is absolute, okay? But it doesn't mean you can't take feedback. That's going to help you. All right, so I digress. So these techniques, what we've forgotten are fundamentals. So even when we're working with a joystick control, which is so awesome, it's like, you know, like these control units now, they're like literally, I say to people, as people look at them as gear sticks and they go forward, back, neutral, reverse, boop, 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 and they jump them all over the place. And I go, no, I want you to imagine you're a kid again, sitting at the edge of the bathtub. You've got your little toy boats in the bathtub, and you've just grabbed one from the top, and you're turning it and moving it and turning it and moving it and turning it and moving. And that's what the control systems are like on these modern boats now. They're phenomenal. But we go back to basics when we're training in those, because the thing that you've got to remember is it's all good until one engine stops. Trying to drive these joystick control systems with the one engine down is a little bit challenging, let me put it that way. And this, I digress once again, but that's why I say if you're going to spec out an IPS boat and the boat's over 40 feet, put a bow thruster in as well. Better to have it, not need it, than need it and not have it, especially if you lose one engine. Very unlikely to lose one engine. If you're maintaining your engines properly and you're looking after and you're going that next level that these extra systems require, the more advanced the system, yeah, the more you have to invest in its maintenance. These techniques that have been lost, they're really useful. And one of the big ones that's been lost is how to sail a hull with current or wind. So I look at wind as a form of propulsion, and then use your propulsion sources to trim it and tune it. But one of the propulsion sources is also your wind. So we need to look at wind as an ally, not an enemy, which starts out with, from a basic introductory level, let's stop outside of the marina or in calm water, near or outside the marina, in an open area of water that we can set up our fenders and set our lines up and have our crew briefing and do all that sort of stuff. Or if we're by ourselves, feel the drift. Take our boat to a complete stop. Feel the drift. Feel the wind. Feel how it's affecting you. Feel the angle it's taking you out. What's the current? Is there any little bit of current there? What are the telltales on current? Like, obviously you can see ripples going around a pole, like a pylon at the marina or something like that. Often you can't. If the current's really slight, look at the weed growing on those poles. They'll either be just gently falling out one way or just gently falling out the other way. Yep. So if you've got a slight current and you go, okay, well that's great, because if I got that little bit of slight current, I don't have any wind, but I got this slight current. when I come into my berth, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay up current a little bit. And as I come into my berth, I'm going to let that just gently drift me down onto the marina arm. So I'm actually not going to come too close to my marina finger or marina arm. I'm going to come in a little bit wider because I know the current's here, and I can come in and I could just gently drift my stern in and go down and throw a stern line on and just pop the boat in forward gear while it's resting. Now, this is important. These techniques have been forgotten. They're not commonly used. Now, there's a promise that if we're working together that I get everyone to make with me, and because I'm putting this out into the bigger world, you have to keep this promise with us. These techniques I'm discussing are about getting the 3 lines on. What I mean by 3 lines, the 3 lines that are the most crucial in getting a boat onto the wharf, which is a line stopping you going forward. In this instance, it's the stern line. A line stopping you going back, which is in this instance is an aft running spring line, and a line stopping the boat going out at the bow, a bow line, okay? Once you've got those 3 on, everything else is just playing with ropes. But getting those 3 on, you're still engaging and disengaging gears. Now, these techniques I'm going to show you are so good that if you throw a line on, stern line on, just pop it into gear, just to pin the boat there for a bit, it's very tempting to go, okay guys, just jump on, jump on, jump on. Don't do that. Because you've still got boats in gears and engines in gears. Do not disembark and board passengers with gears going in and out, and also do not board and disembark passengers while the engines are still running if you can help it. Get the boat secured, shut it down. Okay, come on guys, let's go. Or please step off now. This is the key thing. This is what we've got to do. We've got to work out how to get ourselves alongside the wharf with as little fuss as possible. So please remember that if you're using these techniques, they're not for disembarking and boarding passengers. This is for you and your crew, and you and your crew alone. Okay, so the things that have been forgotten are using spring lines and engaging engines to hold boats on the wharf, using the wind as a ally, not an enemy. And a big thing that's been forgotten is stern to the wind. And we'll cover that in other sessions. I hope you're seeing some real value in this stuff. I'm Ned, your personal boating instructor and owner by advocate. Please put some comments and questions in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and share. That's a really good one to say really quick. Like, subscribe, and share if you would be so kind. We really appreciate it. And happy boating, and bye for now.